Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. I'm Andrii and I'm here today with Ed and Amanda, and we'll be discussing Violet Ray, the chakra responsible for identity or the signature of the being. All right, now for Amanda's introduction.
Hello, I'm Amanda. I'm going to do the intro.
Yep, go ahead.
Hello, we welcome you to this Law of One podcast in the love and light of the one infinite creator. This is a teaching experiment founded on unity, harmony, and unconditional love. The topic covered today is Violet Ray. We are grateful for those who listen to our teaching experiment. We thank those of LL Research who have channeled and continue to channel and produce spiritual information to this day. We thank those entities of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the one infinite creator that provided the information we wish to discuss. We have every intention of staying true to Confederation philosophy. It is our desire to serve through this experiment. We are attempting to learn a topic as a social memory complex. This means we desire and have the goal to teach a topic as a unified and harmonious group. At this point, we wish to make it clear that we are not experts or authorities on any such topic we cover, and we are not infallible on what we have to say. We would ask that you use your own discrimination to determine whether the words and concepts we share with you have value in your spiritual journey at this time. If there are any that do not, we ask you to lay them aside and think not a second thought about them, and use only those words and concepts that you speak to your heart, that speak to your journey that you are on now, as we do not wish to be a stumbling block in your seeking. Thank you for watching, and we start with Ed on the topic of Blue Violet Ray.
Okay, Ed.
So, I greet you all in the love and the light of the one glorious creator, and I hope that we can communicate now. The first quote I wanted to speak about, bear with me, I'm not very good at this, so might take me a second, but where is
it? Did you have a quote?
I do. I'm trying to find it. Sorry,
okay. Okay. Well,
no. I do have it here. It's just that. Okay, right. So,
okay.
Ever so sorry about this, guys.
Well, I guess I could start with one here. 1981. Session 39. As you are aware, the violet ray is constant and does not figure into a discussion of the functions of ray activation, in that it is the mark, the register, the identity, the true vibration of an entity. So, what do you feel about that?
So the blue or the violet ray is they take it. It's like a checkpoint before you go into the next density if you're at that point. So it also relies, from what I read, it relies off of all the other energy centers and how you worked your way through them, if they're in balance or not. So it does like a check. Is that how I understand it as?
So my understanding is that it's kind of like when you meet a person and you feel their vibe, like if they have a good vibe or a bad vibe or whatever, that's your interfacing with their violet ray chakra. So that's how you like can recognize. It's like, oh, like I feel a presence, like it's like Ed or someone, then you're really interacting with their violet ray. And the violet ray, while it's violet, it has the colors of the other prominent chakras that are in that person's energy field.
Hmm.
Okay,
So
so my
that's
kind of
your
my kind
whole
of view on it,
essence.
Yeah.
my kind of view on it is essentially that we're more of a system than an entity. You know, we're lots and lots and lots of things laid up on top of one another that give us this density experience, right? So, yeah, we can't perceive most of it because these are, you know, other density energies that go into making us up, but, you know, aren't part of this material existence. So, you know, when you start thinking about it in that way, what is the violet ray is essentially the culmination of all of that energy, yeah, that we produce. Now, and all of those different densities and frequencies that are laid up on top of one another to make us what we are. Now, the one that I was trying to find, yeah, the one that I said on the, if you can you get up the Facebook group?
I can help you out because I know which one you were going to do. You want me
Yeah,
to
that
read it?
what's the date of it? I just can't
Okay,
find
it's
it on the thing.
1981, 105.
105. There we go.
It's thus instead of one, shall we say? That's what it starts with.
Yeah, that's it.
You want me to read it?
Actually, that might be helpful because I'm not particularly great
Okay,
at reading, but
I'll read it for you. Thus, instead of one, shall we say, magnet with one polarity, you have in the body, mind, spirit complex one basic polarity expressed in what you would call violet ray energy, the sum of the energy fields, but which is affected by thoughts of all kinds generated by the mind complex, by distortions of the body complex, and by the numerous relationships between the microcosm, which is the entity, and the macrocosm in many forms, which you may represent by viewing the stars, as you call them, each with a contributing energy ray which enters the electromagnetic web of the entity due to its individual distortions.
perfect. There you go. Couldn't have summed it up better. That essentially kind of really describes what we are as an actual entity, as what the complex is. Yeah. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the violet ray is essentially the culmination of all of those different energies, how we've lived, how we think, everything about what we are is beamed outwards from all the different energy points that we have inside us. And they merge and they get swirled up in our torus field into our auric bubble, into the different energy bodies that we have that all intermingle. And essentially, that outward vibration then essentially you get pulled upwards through the kind of pranic tube outwards out of the top. That's why the crown chakra is there. Yeah, and the difference in those vibrations that comes out essentially merges to give us the violet ray that represents us. Now, there's a beautiful bit in there somewhere. I can't remember which quote, but it says about how uh, every single person in the universe has a different one of like has every identity, every consciousness has a different violet ray. So it doesn't matter about your name. Someone else can have the same name. Someone else can have the same face, but no one has the exact same vibratory, like frequency that
Mm-hmm.
makes up you. You know, so the way that essentially this
Right.
works, I think, is perfectly summed up in that quote that I just said that you just read. So the whole
Mm-hmm.
idea is that we act in the same kind of way as a magnet, yeah, but without a kind of north and south that both push out as we see it. We've got one pole that's north that goes out, and we've got one pole at the south that pulls in. Yeah, now that essentially makes up the system by which we are as an entity, as a physical entity. Now, the chakras themselves are essentially points at which these energies culminate. They essentially we have a body of each one of those chakras. Yeah, so that separate body that we have.
Dark body.
Yeah, like so that you have a light
Is
body
that
for
the
every one of the chakras. Yeah, so you have
okay?
a red
Okay.
ray body, an orange ray body, a yellow ray body, right? Each one of those is full and is brightest when the chakra is spinning. Yeah, now when all of those things layer up, they make us what we are, and also they make that violet ray expression at the top a very, very clear expression of everything that's going on inside us, right? So now, like all of these things come down to very ancient ideas, like the chakras and that. And what he says in here, yeah, is we are a polarity. We are one magnet with one direction coming out the top, one direction coming in the bottom. Now, what the mind body spirit complex is basically that. Well, the whole of it is expressed in that violet ray expression, right? So the things that affect it, yeah, are every single thing that we think. So the mind part of the mind body complex, the mind body spirit complex, every single thing that we think, every single thought, every single kind of emotion and feeling that is comprehended by consciousness, that is all beamed out. Yeah, I could get into the whole Babbitt, you know,
Mhm.
directional thing that's in the CIA reports and that. There's lots of other sources that directly correlate to that exact same thing, right? But then you've got the distortions of the body. So how you live, yeah, the actual things that you do, to deal with the distortions that you were born with. The actual animal that was created at the point when you were born, right? So those distortions, are what you have to learn in life. That's what guides your path, right? So the things that you think, how you kind of deal with it, the distortions that you're born with, that you have to then develop and go through, is kind of a built-in plan of how to produce the violet ray that you need to,
Mhm.
and then the other important thing I think is brilliant is the numerous relationships between the microcosm, being us, yeah, being, like I said, this energy field, yeah, and the macrocosm being essentially the astral bodies, essentially being cosmic energies, being greater energies, being source, and we are essentially that reflected back via this small system. So every single thing in the universe is then beamed to us via this system that we are, and we are essentially a direct reflection of everything out there. Now, the point that you're born, those distortions that you're born with, when you do a natal chart with astrology, you get all of those different points. They're like the vector that you come into your body with. Those are the distortions that you're born with. Those are the astrological, the macrocosm, directly affecting who you are as a microcosm. Right. So all of these things just blow my mind, because then it says, that all of those different things contribute energy rays to your electromagnetic web, that then essentially, due to the individual distortions that you have. Anyway,
Yeah. I was
anyway,
just
sorry,
wondering
Pete.
if,
I just went really going into one there. I do apologise. Go.
you give Amanda a turn. Did you want
Yeah,
to
sorry,
share
dude.
a
Sorry.
quote? Uh,
Oh,
that,
I was just listening to Eddie.
yeah. Well,
Okay,
we
so
just want to keep it in a circle, kind of.
um, I
But it
I
was good.
I was interested. All of it resonates, but I was interested in it's 1981, 74. The violet ray is the only consideration for fourth density positive. In assessing the harvestable fourth density negative, the intensity of the red as well as orange and yellow ray is looked upon quite carefully, as a great deal of stamina and energy of this type is necessary for negative progression, it being extremely difficult to open the gateway to intelligent infinity from the solar plexus center. This is necessary for harvest in fourth density negative. So a fourth density negative can still be harvestable if they're at that high percentage range, and which is what, 50 some percent, or is it more? Okay,
51%.
51%. So, but it also says here for them to be able to get harvested, that's a lot of energy and it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up that energy level because they're not using their other, the higher spirituality type, the heart and all that. So they're not really using that. Am I correct in that?
Well, my understanding is that
No?
they need to have the lower chakras, like the red and the orange and the yellow, functioning in order for your yellow ray, sorry, so your green ray to function, or for the service to self entities for their indigo ray to function. So they need the lower chakras to be functioning well in order. So even if your heart is open, and you want to be on the service to others path, that's not enough. You also like need to have the lower chakras open, like the orange, like the red ray, which is like survival. So you've got to have the faith that all is
Right.
well and all will be well, and the orange ray, you've got to, recognize the divine within your spouse and yourself, and love and accept each other. And then you've got to, and the yellow ray is loving and accepting your family. You've got to love and accept your family, and only, and then once you have that, like that wellness and that love and acceptance on that level, then opening your heart to loving and accepting all beings is going to work too. Yeah, so that's why you need the whole trunk, if you will. Ed, you're muted. Did you want to add something? Just because you were moving your phone around. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Sorry. So the whole thing that so you can harvest as negative, but in order to harvest negative, you have to have activated your third eye chakra
Indigo.
and your indigo chakra, and then the violet ray has to kind of be at the same vibration that you need to be at, which is very difficult to do because you've got to bypass the heart because you're doing service
There you go.
to other. Yeah, you can't use the heart chakra. The whole point is that you skip that. You go straight from yellow. Yeah, service to self. Sorry, yeah. You go straight from yellow to indigo, right? Or yellow, blue, indigo. That you can't jump in. You can't, which requires a lot more stamina, a lot more hard work. You haven't got the universal love of creator to power yourself into the higher levels. So you have to force the universe to do it. So by doing that, they need a lot more stamina. Now, also, if you think about it, if you want to graduate at service to self, yeah, you've also the higher chakras as they are, and the love and the unity and the oneness. You don't want any of that. Yeah, what you want is to be stupidly strong in your will over the universe, and that is ego, and that is belief in the self over anything else. Yeah, and power over anything else. Yeah, forget about wisdom. I want power. Yeah, that's the service to service to self path, and the chakras that control that are the bottom three. So if you were to polarize, if you were to graduate polarized service to self, yeah, the violet ray at the top would be mostly a super powerful red, a super powerful orange and yellow to show that you
and
know.
indigo. Yeah.
And then indigo, because that's the other one that you've jumped up to activate. So the violet ray at the top would be tinged. It says, I think, tinged with orange and yellow, or red and orange, because those are the ones that essentially you've used to power yourself up to that point. Because it's harder to do without love.
And the
Anyway,
reason
that's my thinking.
Yeah, the indigo is important for the service to self. Is like, say for instance, they're in that yellow ray, and they have to prove themselves to their group or whatever. Then they have to think, okay, how do I get this thing that I want? And they can't do it from wisdom alone, because wisdom is based on blue
Love.
ray. Blue ray is based on past experience, and that's not going to tell you. But indigo ray is intuition, and then you are recognizing yourself as one infinite creator, accept that knowledge that, oh, I can do this, and then you just find out the answer, and then you do it and it works. Okay, so we're gonna move on a little bit here. So I got a quote here: 2017-0304. The violet ray center is that indicator of the balance of the lower energy centers of each seeker. Thus, the various colors and brilliance of these colors is surrounded by the violet and red protective shell we call it, that reflects the overall balance of the mind, the body, and the spirit of the seeker of truth. This protective shell is that which holds in place whatever degree of health or disease or imbalance, shall we say, that the seeker has achieved to this point in the life experience. This shell, then, is also surrounded by the entity's vibratory expression of its true density of origin. Those wanderers in the group, then, being from either fourth, the fifth, or the sixth density experience, would have the green, blue, and indigo coloration of their exterior portion of the aura. So this kind of expands on what Ed was talking about earlier, about the shells of experience. And so if you have a wanderer that is from the fourth density, they're going to have a green tinge to it. Not just, and it'll be, I guess, somewhat distinct from just a green ray activation tinge. And so fifth would have a blue tinge, and then a sixth density would have an indigo tinge, just like an overall tinge rather than like a specific hard point tinge.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's go ahead.
So,
I think one of the
Amanda.
things.
oh no,
sorry.
go ahead, Ed. You can go. I'm just thinking about what I want to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, one of the things I really liked about that specific quote is the way that he talks about it, like it's a shield. Like it's not just your identity or
Mhm.
the but it's like your protective bubble that
Protective
keeps
shell, yeah.
your reality in its entirety, that protects you from things coming in, that stops you from like pushing out too much, I suppose. The point is it keeps all of those things balanced inside that system. And like you said, it's important that the system runs smoothly, because it's not just about the high bit. If you want to go service to self, then you have to have the bottom ones and the top one. But if you want to go service to other, essentially you still need all of them activated. You can't just try to live in the top three. You have to understand, have each chakra spinning
Yeah.
to then
Well,
form the system to the top.
Mm-hmm.
so the service to others, I just want to clarify, they don't need to activate blue or indigo. They do need to activate the green ray, and they need to have enough energy flowing through red, orange, and yellow in order to keep that green ray at a good like amplitude. You need to have the strength to go to actually love and be kind to all beings. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
be kind to the homeless person on the street, but then go home and be mean to your family. you, you need
Right.
to or be mean to your spouse. You need to love and accept your spouse and your family, and that's the orange and the yellow ray respectively.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas the a service to self entity, they would be dominating their spouse and their family, uh,
Right.
or their coworkers or whoever is in their yellow ray grouping.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're on the service to others polarity here, so we're loving and accepting.
There you go.
Yeah. And we have a comment from a YouTube watcher. Higher density service to self beings can have all the chakras activates except the green ray center, the heart chakra, including the violet ray. I assume. I'm thinking they serve as
Yeah.
catalysts. Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. Anders, YouTube viewer. And the violet ray is always open because it is just the signature of all the other chakras. And but yeah, you're correct. And service to self needs to have a deactivated heart chakra, and that's why at 6.5 density they've fully
Stop.
developed all the other chakras, and they can only make progress by opening that green ray. And once they open the green ray, they become service to others, and that's why everyone higher than 6.5 density is service to others. Yeah. All right. So Ed, did you
So
want
I
to
was
go
just going to
another
say,
quote?
well, the one what you were just talking about, the kind of the
Okay, go ahead.
balancing and the service to self, service to other action in the chakras. It talks here about the spin. Which one is it? Where is it? Okay, so each energy center has a wide range of rotational speed, and as you may see it more clearly in rotation to color, brilliance, and more strongly, the will of the entity concentrates upon, refines, or purifies each energy center. The more brilliant or rotationally active each center will be. It's not necessary for the energy centers to be activated in order uh, in in the case of self-aware entities. Thusly, entities may have extremely brilliant energy centers while being quite unbalanced in their violet ray aspect due to lack of attention paid to the totality experience of the entity. So, the spin that it talks about is it's caused by these vortex forces, and there's lots of other kind of people that talk about how they're created. But the actual spin state of them, how much they're spinning, how fast they're spinning, comes down to how active they are, and that's what's going to give you the outpouring of light. So but the key point is about any of those the spins is essentially that they should be balanced, that there should be a cyclic flow from one to the other, going up towards to give you the overall picture that you want. And like you said, a lot of that comes down to who you are. There's another quote a bit further on. It'll take me a while to find it, but it's one that talks about how the individual distortions that you have, are your path. You have those there to kind of to give you the experiential knowledge that you need to grow, to spiritually develop. So when we come here, the body that we're in is set up with specific chakra patterning, that we then have to get to spin in the right way to get the experiential knowledge we need to get the violet ray emanations that we need to ascend. But that's not really needed. All you need as an entity is to live, to experience life. And just by doing that, you will activate chakras. Now whether you put the mental work in to do it consciously and actually activate them, Rudolf Steiner, he talks about how all of the energy centers in the body are active all of the time. And it just comes down to how much of perception you place in what they do. That really comes down to how much spin you give them. But in order for you to understand the world around you, to understand other people and all these other things, these feelings that you have, they're all there because everybody has them. It's just that the process comes down to mastering what they are, and self mastery and conscious work on the self that then translates into the flows of energy that are projected via the spin of these energy centers. So really it's not a kind of a system that's outside of everybody's control. It's not just people who meditate that have this. It is literally part of the part of what we are as an entity. And you might be really, really good at one thing that isn't spiritual at all, that will just make one of your chakras glow like a sun. But your violet ray won't reflect anything of spiritual learning, because that one's completely out of balance. It might be spinning completely the wrong direction. It'd still glow, but it would be a negative aspect rather than a positive. Anyway,
so
I digress.
But basically that they were saying that you have to focus on that totality of experience of integrating all the chakras together in order for it to work. And this slightly relates to a comment we got on the YouTube, which was saying that the service to self can't reach mid-sextensity because they are unholy, basically missing the oneness center, that reality is one. And the relationship to the green ray here is that when your green ray is open, you're feeling the pain of the other people. And so, you have a great compassion for every being, every blade of grass. And so that is what gives you that oneness. And so once the service to self person doesn't experience the pain of others, and that's what lets them to do things that are cruel from an external perspective, whereas a service to others person does feel the pain of others, and that allows them to make things that are do things that are genuinely helpful to others, because that they respect their free will and other things of that nature. Now, I just
the
wondered if
compassion and forgiveness and all that, the openness that comes with that. If you're service to self, then you wouldn't have those things. But you need those things to balance karma, and that's the point of green ray. That's the whole Jesus Christ, the essence that we should embody. The clearing of negative karma by love and compassion to everyone, to everything. Then you get the whole idea of the non-duality, and the we are all part of
The
God.
one.
That we are all one. And as soon as you kind of love that aspect, how can you be service to self? So
Right.
Amanda, I was wondered if you had any comment on this totality thing, or if and after you can do another quote.
I have one. It's at the end, and it kind of goes into it's a long
Go.
quote, but it's about balancing. The balancing process is the means by which entities may use the experience the catalyst of their daily round of activities as food for growth. This growth is in the knowledge of yourself eventually becoming that which is one infinite creator. As you look at each of your energy centers, each of your chakras, there is a certain type of experience or energy that is utilized in each one. The red ray energy center is that which is concerned with survival and the sexual experience and reproduction. The orange energy center expands the consciousness to the self that is unique in its ability to express itself in one to one relationships with other entities. And the yellow ray energy center is that energy center where there is the blending of the orange individuality with other individuals. So there is a group consciousness. The heart, the green ray energy center, is seeking all others with a kind of love that is universal and without condition. The blue energy center is that which is the ability to give and receive communication and inspiration with others. The indigo ray energy center is that energy center that of the adept which sees all the creation as means by which the entity is in working consciousness, is able to create changes in consciousness at will. The violet ray energy center is that which is both the mark or the identity of the entity, so that intelligent infinity can be known at this point. That kind of sums up the energy centers. Um, for me, I mean, it really helps put everything in line, because you need to know, you have to know that. Yeah, you just have to. Um, but talking about the violet ray, when you access all that, it's like um you're one with the creator, and you actually kind of, maybe you feel it, or you experience some, maybe you just, that aha moment, the aha moment. um that's how the blue ray, or the violet ray, I mean, everybody wants to get to that point, but there is work involved, balancing. And like you said, every single day you learn something, or you experience something, and you put it all in your bag for that day, and then you have to work your way through it. Did you learn something? What did you learn by this? How are you going to improve yourself if you're on self service to others? How can you help somebody? All that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the day, your violet ray takes that all into consideration. Say, okay, here you go. This is you. This is you, mingling with the creator. You are the creator, and experiencing together. It sounds good to me. I mean, that's how I that's how I'm interpreting it, and it's a really simple basis. Simple, for me. I mean, is kind of how I'm understanding it?
Yeah.
I think that the way you understand it is very personal to everybody. Because all of those
Mm-hmm.
things that it mentions, everyone's going to have different catalysts. Everyone's going to have different distortions. So, each
Mm-hmm.
one of those rays, that it's going to be a very personal journey for every person to get those
Right.
things working properly. Which is, and there's another one a bit later down. I was trying to find it, where it says, that you can ask yourself questions to balance the chakras. Like, do I feel safe? Do I feel loved? Do I feel, and you can go up the
Mm-hmm.
chakras, questioning yourself about why you feel the way that you do. And, then it's kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy. It's kind of like, analyzing how you think in order to feel better inside and stop negative things from taking over. By
Mm-hmm.
balancing those chakras, especially in a positive way, by asking those questions. Do you know the point I'm talking about, Andre? The quote is a bit further down. It's in the 2000s, I believe.
Oh.
But it has a list of questions to ask yourself about
Mhm.
that then balance the chakras.
Oh, that's a good one. Maybe you can find that
Mhm.
while I do this
Yeah, I'm
quote.
trying to find it. What are your thoughts on this one, Andre?
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh well, I think that's really good. I just wanted to do this quote, and then we'll go back to it. It's on a slightly different aspect of the violet ray. This is from 1981, session 73. I am Ra. You may have read some of this entity's workings. It offered itself as teacher to those mind body spirit complexes which gathered to hear, and even then spoke as through a veil, so as to leave room for those not wishing to hear. When this entity was asked to heal, it oft times did so, always ending the working with two admonitions. Firstly, that the entity healed and had been healed by its faith, and that is its ability to allow the accept changes through the violet ray into the gateway of intelligent energy. Secondly, always saying, tell no one. These are the workings which attempt a maximal quality of free will while maintaining fidelity to the positive purity of the working. Now, in case it wasn't clear, that we're talking about Jesus here, um,
Mhm.
and so what I found interesting about this quote is that here the ability to allow and accept changes through the violet ray into the gateway of intelligent energy. That is that the entity had been healed by its faith. So it opened. So there's kind of like the energy transfer between one entity and another seems to happen through the violet ray. And so by these people having the faith that Jesus will heal them, and then opening their violet ray to allow, Jesus to kind of like reach in there and like reconfigure their chakras so that the disease is gone, they have a healthy energy flow, was very essential
Mhm.
in the healing process. And his aspect of tell no one was apparently for free will, so that if they were to tell someone about this, and then that other person might have to believe, that Jesus was a miracle worker or
Mhm.
something like this. But by saying tell no one, no one's free will was infringed.
Mhm.
Though you can say, like, I was healed by Jesus, and if the other person says no, you weren't, and then it's like, okay, that's fine. You can believe whatever you want to believe.
Mhm. Mhm.
As long
Mhm.
as you're willing to respect other people's free will, I think that's the important thing, not necessarily,
Right.
keeping everything a secret. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
So yeah,
Go ahead.
on that quote there, the thing I really like, because there's lots and lots and lots about healing in the Violet Ray kind of conversation. It's you've got lots of factors that work by your faith interacting with the other person's faith, and your Violet Ray, essentially the totality of whatever, being able to influence theirs, and them having faith. The indigo chakra and your indigo chakra both having faith that these things will work. And it even says in there that essentially the you have to be able to break through the outer shell, the protective barrier that we spoke about earlier. So you have to be able to get through the indigo and the red ray kind of merged on the outside to be able to get in and affect the yellow ray and the orange ray that essentially affect the etheric bodies, as it were. Uh, uh, yeah. Anyway, so there's lots and lots in there about the healing stuff. So the you know
Mm,
Mhm.
the channeling the source of the higher intelligence.
Mhm.
What's it called? The infinite intelligence. Channeling down. That's vitally important to healing as well. There's one point in there that I thought was really good as well, where he talks about how you channel down the infinite intelligence. You pull up the the creative energy. And then depending on the point where you get them to stop is what effect they give you. So if you're trying to heal, yeah, you pull down the energy to the heart chakra, yeah, and then the
Mhm.
heart chakra and the love energy that you produce is the thing that you use to heal the other person. Whereas if you're trying to kind of communicate truth, if you're trying to speak some sort like channel divine knowledge, then you pull the information down and then you balance it at the throat chakra so that you can express it in that pure way. Once again, I love the fact that these actions, these physical outward actions, come down to channeling that energy to a specific point that you can then focus it and use it essentially.
Yeah. And
Weirdly, the violet ray doesn't have any use. Apparently, it is the Buddhic
well,
body. It is the totality of the lot, and it is basically the barrier in between you and the infinite. You know, you've got the infinite energy flowing into you all the time. That's prime. That's the life force that keeps us all going all the time. You know, but what comes out, well, that's there all the time. Don't be wrong. But what comes out there is purely based on how you live and what you do. You know, so
mm,
and what can come in is also that, because it says in there that when you open up the door to infinite infinity, the infinite intelligence floods in through the portal of the violet ray into the indigo center, so that you can kind of essentially understand it. But the information that comes in is always going to be suited for your distortion. Yeah,
yeah.
always going to be made in a way that you can understand it in the best way to use it. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
Use
apologize.
it right.
I just wanted to kind of tie this in. YouTube listener was asking about Kundalini. The Kundalini starts at the bottom and flows up, and so from the Earth energies, kind of we on the inner planes, we get the energy for doing work. And then that comes in through the red and the orange and the yellow and the green, and it goes up basically. But information, oftentimes, like if we're getting information from other entities, or be they other humans or spiritual entities or Confederation entities, comes from the violet ray. And so we kind of need both. We need both to have the energy and the information to what to do with that energy. And and that way we're kind of more balanced in that respect. And I'm wondering, Ed, if you managed to find those questions for the chakras.
I didn't. I got confused.
Oh,
But speaking
oh,
of
okay.
the Kundalini, speaking of
Hmm.
the
Okay, go ahead.
Kundalini, so this whole concept, I think really heavily ties in with what we've been talking about, of it all being these flows of energy. Now, when the Kundalini is described, it's described as the spiral snakes that start at the root chakra, and then they curve in and out in the caduceus pattern between the chakras. So in the traditional way, where the snakes cross over, that is the chakra points. Yeah. So if you think about a wave, or a torus spinning torus field that we're supposed to be producing, all of our light bodies combining into the shell of but anyway, point is, if you think about that, the torus goes around the outside and then it goes into the middle. Now, when it goes into the middle, it spins through itself, causing like a whirlpool, kind of, where these two energies spin through each other, which looks like an expanding snake going upwards towards the mouth at the top. So essentially, the spiral of the Kundalini could easily be described as the same wave pattern that moves up, prana moving up through the chakras, that Ra describes, or that essentially physics describes as a torus. Now, these fields have been described spiritually and scientifically for a very, very long time, and so many things are linked into it now. That you can go on. Well, there's lots and lots of things to relate to what this whole process works. So the rising of the Kundalini is essentially focusing that energy, and the snakes crossing over, or the waves, as it were, intersecting at specific points. Also, the other thing about this is where you look at where the chakras are and where the Kundalini crosses over physiologically, they're all linked very closely to endocrine organs that produce messages outwards to the body, but they're also heavily linked to ganglion of the nervous system. So at each point, if you look at a kind of map of the nervous system, the points where the chakras are heavily, densely occupied by nerves. So you've got these different systems whereby, by activating the chakras, the snake climbing its way up, or you focusing those in streams of energy, of pranic energy, by focusing those at those specific points, you can then release hormones that make you feel and specifically act in a certain way that you've activated by getting that spinning chakra active. But then you've also got a huge nervous system activation. Right now, if you think about how this energy is put out physiologically, from us, think about this once again from a physical system. Then the vibration of your nervous system is what produces those outward energies. So Anyway,
Mhm.
I've got lots to say about lots of stuff, so I
Yeah.
apologize for keep going on.
So
You guys, you've got to have a chance to talk at some point.
well, we're gonna move on to the consensus segment now, and so basically we're trying to make a definition of violet ray, and that's kind of encompasses most of things, and that we can agree upon. Okay, so Amanda, would you like to begin?
Sure. So, the violet ray is that spiritual essence. It's the most powerful energy. Um, it's your enlightenment center. It it checks, and it's just the essence of who your totality as a spiritual mind body spirit complex is your totality. And once you can access that, things are easier to see, understand. It it makes your life, I'm going to put it in just in an everyday perspective, it just makes your life more balanced, and you're not, I mean, if you really work at this, you can, your mind is quieter. um, you tend to stop and think about what you're going to say. You check yourself too. I mean, for me, that's what I've done. I've, okay, why do I feel like this? So to utilize everything. So that's how I take it.
Okay. Wow. Ed, what do you think? Would you like to expand on that, or
I think that in a real applicable to the self in the third density experience, that is a perfect way of describing it, because that is what it is. It's the totality of everything that you've experienced, that you are, that you think in by second, ever expanding pattern. It's yeah, it's a really beautiful way to describe it. For me, I think really it comes down to, it is the connection to essentially the consciousness part of the universe. We are made of the energetic part, but as that comes in, that has to be combined with the consciousness part in order to form, reality, in order to form, what we are. So essentially, I see it as one. It is the outward expression of everything that you are, of the soul, of the body, of all of the different aspects that make up all the energy bodies, all of the, but like I said, that is also a direct reflection of the macrocosm. That is your direct link to the universe in itself in every regard. So I see it as essentially the manifestation of your spiritual, energies and how you have converted the prana of the universe into a spiritual form. Uh, and yeah, it's a window as well. It lets you to see out further, to connect up to other things, and also to be part of oneness in every way.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a,
yeah,
a beautiful thing. Connection to the high self,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
guardian angels.
mm,
I could keep going on for ages. It's
yeah.
a very
Well,
cool thing.
yeah. I see the violet ray. Yeah, for sure, it is definitely the totality of the being, and as the Ra or whoever was said that the Confederation entity, that it forms a shell between the red and the violet ray, that is kind of a protective shell around the body, and so you can kind of cut off in streaming energies, consciousness energies, through either feelings of unworthiness, that then it wouldn't go into the indigo ray, um, and or you can, like, for instance, your challenging process, like you can make sure that that you're communicating with a positive entity, and your shell is protecting you, because external entities that are not in the inner planes can only go through the violet ray, and so you can challenge them. Okay, you can only pass this door if you can say that you're of God, in the love and light of the one infinite creator, or that you testify of
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, or whatever resonates with you. And so that's one of the important aspects of what the violet ray does, is it protects you, or it is like your
Mm.
door to other people. And it, just like a door, it's kind of like other people can see your door and see what it looks like, and they can see you and the totality of who you are based on your door. um, and so that's kind of how I see the violet ray. And then
I fully agree.
mhm.
I think that
Mm-hmm.
the beauty of the door thing is great because it also opens the other way. You
Mhm.
can open it to invite people in.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it is also the portal for Indigo Ray to connect to the teachers, to connect to your higher self, to connect to get guidance, to source, the infinite
Yeah.
intelligence. So
Hmm.
yeah, both ways, dude. I completely agree.
And I have a question from a YouTube listener. If violet ray is pulling us up into higher densities, is that a valid view?
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you think about kind of each chakra, essentially represents a density. Like when you look at the red ray, and it being about survival and it being about kind of the raw animalistic parts of life. That's the same as the kind of the baseline kind of the first density experience. Where it's all about strength and becoming real, I suppose. Right. Then the next step up, you've got the living cells inside you, that make you, and that comes down to the totality of you. Then you've got essentially the egoic perception of yourself and how you interact with others. All of those things are essentially the same as the kind of the steps up. So you've got the single entities that are finding their way in the universe, and then you've got the next step up is our consciousness, and self-awareness. Then love, and all of these steps up, the densities match the chakras. So the same sacred geometries, the same patterns of existence occur all the way down from the microbe to the gods. And we are the same as all of that. Our system runs exactly the same way. If it's different, it's probably wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I personally don't. I mean, everything is both true and false at the same time, but I think that like it's kind of the violet ray is um, it's more of like an artifact or kind of part of our energy body, but our motivations
Yeah.
to go into higher densities are from within ourselves and within our souls, and like kind of out of sheer boredom, I think that is the main um, pull to upwards. So if we're satisfied with things as they are, we're satisfied with third density, or like the neutral people, the lost people, they're satisfied with it. Like there's lots of people that are happy with, just doing whatever's popular and kind of thing, and they don't have a drive to go upwards, at least, and that's totally okay. And so it's really it's an intrinsic motivation to move upwards,
Mm-hmm.
but certainly it does give us an idea of more of what it's like to be at those higher densities. And
Yeah,
well,
I
according
agree because
to
yeah, go on.
the
Go on.
Confederation, the seventh density, which would correspond to the seventh chakra, is about timelines and seeing, like, I guess, the totality of a timeline.
Mm.
Whereas in sixth density, you're kind of more working with intuitions. You're beyond wisdom. You're balancing love and wisdom. Because in the
But then
fifth density,
I
you were
still feel
just doing
that
wisdom.
the indigo ray that we are, this
Hmm.
in totality, is doing that. It is us balancing all of the energies inside us as a level of right. So if you think about it, when you look at the intuition part, here, that's sixth density, that's wisdom. That is looking back to try to make things better, to move upwards. Yeah, when you look at the seventh density, the crown chakra, you lose identity of self anyway. Yeah, it is not a body. It's the buddhic body. It's the complete whole form. Yeah, and that is the same as the seventh density, where you lose yourself to the oneness. Yeah, the individual parts of you, the individual energy bodies, become one there. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is a serious correlation between each one of the steps, and as you learn to master each one, it drives you without any kind of once you get that, it's natural to go on to the next step because all of these things line up, that they all balance one after another to make you into what you need to be. So I would agree that by mastering each chakra, you essentially help you to understand and to embody the different densities inside the third density experience. That's just my
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like
Oh,
once
yeah.
you've mastered it, then it's like, well, what do I do next? Well, I guess I'll master the
Right.
next one.
Right. Right.
and
It
and
just
I
builds
know,
on itself.
yeah, and I know for a lot of people who are lost, they're kind of, they're like, why isn't my life getting better? Because they're just following the popular thing, and so they're not working with their heart or doing things either for a service to self or a service to others' nature. They're just kind of just doing things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's usually only when they start questioning it or they're suffering. They're like, like, there's love and then there's hate, and then like I have this mix of them, and it's very painful. And then once it gets like to that painful and suffering, and they feel broken, and then they're like, what, I want to heal. And then the path becomes more apparent to them, that like they're tired of being lost, that they want to go either on the service to self path. Okay, I'm going to get everything right myself, I'm going to do it all by myself, as the divine, or they're going to be like, what, I'm going to make the world a better place, I'm going to help others, and but by
Mm-hmm.
doing so, things will be better for me because I'll be making the world a better place. And so that would be the service to others path. And so that there's those two paths rather than just oscillating in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
thanks.
Right.
So did we have any final remarks before we go to the outro?
I could literally talk about this for the next 3 or 4 hours if you're up for it. But I'm sure
Well,
everyone will be
we
bored.
try to
But
keep it under an hour just for our viewers.
well, I apologise for running over them. I'll
That's
be
all
more
right.
organised
We're
next
not
time
running
if
over
you'll have me
yet.
back. But
Yeah, it's
can I
good.
just say thank you ever so much for having me, Andre? Like I just see, I hope I've beamed some blue light and
Yeah,
love you
and
all.
oh yeah, well, don't worry, you don't have to go anywhere. This is just, we're concluding the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
just saying, love and light to everyone, anyone that's
Yeah.
listening.
Oh, yeah,
You
I know
guys,
you had some images
beaming
as
blue light.
well.
Pardon?
Was there one image in particular you wanted to show us?
I had loads. I've just got. Can I just show you this here? Okay,
Okay,
so
go ahead.
I'll just show you my picture rather than.
Sure.
I had loads of other pictures lined up. Okay, so this is my little picture that I drew. Yeah. So now the bit that we're talking about is up here. Yeah. Now the way I've drawn it, is the same as the Egyptian way of drawing the soul, which was the small orb on the top of the head that had little legs and it had wings coming out the top. Now, if you look at the shape of the orb with the wings, it basically represents the top of the torus field,
Mm.
right? So this would be our aura, right? Now, the top of the torus field, then connects for your infinite intelligence to Ketha, which is, the hermetic kind of version of the higher self, right? To do that, you have to balance, wisdom and knowledge with understanding. Then you've got the entire system here. So you've got the chakras, which in the hermetic system, you've got this one, and this. And this one. Uh, this one doesn't exist apparently because that's because you have kind of activate it. This one's represented by a gate between severity and mercy, and this one's represented by a gate between, really kind of love or kind of intellect. Yeah. So the point is, all of these things line up. Yeah. You've got all of the same things. You've got the Kundalini snake that goes up between. That's, like I said, the spiral that goes up the center of the torus field. So then that creates the cyclic, rounded field that goes around the outside of us. The astrology symbols, the astrological symbols, they all line up with specific points on this. So you can actually kind of look at how astrology affects health and affects the body. Then you've actually got the separation of the different energy bodies. Yeah. Now the torus field itself, I've drawn filled with love, but it isn't really. It's filled with all of the different things, and the totality energy of it comes out of the top. That's my picture. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, now we really have to do the outro now. Okay,
Right.
go ahead.
Do it. Love
we
you all.
end this. We love you too.
Yeah.
We end the session and are grateful to the audience. In this teaching experiment, we have attempted to learn a topic as a social memory complex that is unified, harmonious, and full of unconditional love, which characteristics are extremely important to us because we resonate with the Confederation philosophy and believe we are, as humanity, forming and becoming a loving, unified, and harmonious social memory complex from planet Earth. We thank the Confederation and LL Research. If you'd like to support LL Research, you can go to their website at llresearch.org to donate and or buy their books and other material. However, all LL Research material is free at their website. We hope this teaching experiment will give one knowledge that will help one seek the love in all in the moment, will help one open their heart more and more clearly to see the unity of all. We thank you all for viewing. And please know that we love each other and you at the time. We leave you as we found you in the love and light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai.
All right.